are once again in the field with Neil. Welcome to November, everybody. A little overcast today, actually surprisingly warm, but soup season is back with a vengeance. Today, I'm out at Madawi Creek, which is on Polpis Harbor. There's an eroding salt marsh bank behind me, and Polpis looks pretty gorgeous right now. Water actually should be in the 50s, maybe low 60s, hopefully, because I got my waders on. We're about to go climb into Polpis Harbor to work on installing a project that's been a long time coming. We have been officially permitted to install some artificial oyster reefs. To talk a little bit more about the benefits of these artificial habitats and what they're going to hopefully do for the marsh out here, let's go talk to Jen Karberg. Oh, Jen Karberg.
Hi, Neil.
Look at you.
Welcome to the Madawi Creek Oyster Reef project. This has been a long time coming, but we've been working through the process of reviewing and getting permitting to install the first oyster reef using oyster castles in Massachusetts.
So that's...
You can see some of the castles here. They look like concrete adult Legos.
Oh yeah.
They're 35-pound blocks of concrete that are hollow that create a really great place for oysters to live on. Oysters love a more solid substrate. And out here in Polpis Harbor, our bottom is mostly mucky. So this is a perfect home for oysters. And why we're doing it, why we're building a reef, we're at NCF's Madawi Creek property, which is a large salt marsh in Polpis Harbor that we've done a lot of restoration on over the years. And we've seen some impacts to the salt marsh where the soil sediments erode away quickly with large storm events, big tides coming in. So we looked at oysters as a way to help slow down waves that are coming up and hitting the shoreline, protecting the oyster reef, or protecting the salt marsh, providing a little bit of kind of a buffer between the salt marsh and large storm events. Even medium-sized storm events are waves that could come in and start to erode away soil sediment in the marsh. So this reef is just a series of a couple of lines. We've got the tide coming out, so they're underwater now.
Yeah.
But we stack up these Legos in some linear lines in front of the salt marsh. It provides that protection to the upland area, and then it's also a place for oysters to grow. Oysters are great at filtering water, improving water quality in an area. They increase biodiversity for other animals that are using the harbor itself. They provide just this amazing suite of benefits for harbor, and we don't have an oyster population growing here in Polpis Harbor.
And while we love a good oyster at a raw bar, these are going to stay here because they are filling an environmental service.
Correct. As part of our permit, it's considered a scientific research permit. No one's really done an installation like this in Massachusetts yet, so we're testing out how good it will be for improving water quality and for helping provide resilience to a salt marsh at the same time. So it'll take the oysters a while to reach full size, but when they do, they're going to be here doing their work, and we might have some educational opportunities to come out and explore the reef, but they're going to stay here on the reef doing their work.
This is so cool, and you can see some oysters growing.
Yeah, so the Nantucket Shellfish Hatchery actually took like a chunk of these oyster castles, had them at the hatchery since April, March.
Oh, so these hatchery rock stars behind you right now?
Yes, this crew over here that we partnered with. And they put oyster spat, oyster babies, in the water that float around these oyster castles. And so it gave a chance for those babies to set and start to grow. So we're starting out with oysters already on the site. And if they like it here, hopefully they'll spread and increase and we'll grow more. And the great thing about oyster reefs is that oysters actually grow with sea level rise. So as we get increased water on top of this reef, the oysters will just keep pace with it. And then help to kind of trap some sediment behind and maybe even help the salt marsh keep pace with sea level rise also.
Yeah, because the marsh, like you said, we've done a lot of restoration work out here on this marsh, and we have a little bit of an eroding bank. This is just going to slow that wave action and hopefully give it a chance to compete
Yep.
with these rising tides.
Absolutely, and we've done some restoration on the eroding bank. We have a whole other project that's working on growing more salt marsh grass and helping the salt marsh respond. But this is just like another protection while we're doing that restoration work at the same time.
So NCF, we have a lot of work that is above the surface of the water, but this is one of our first real, totally aquatic projects. Are you excited about that?
I am. It's super strange because I'm a plant ecologist. For the past couple of years, I've worked with crabs and oysters and surveying under the water. It's kind of a whole new world for us, and it's so awesome to have great partners like the town. The Nantucket Shellfish Association is here to help us today. We've got a bunch of different conservation groups that are all coming together to help do this work in some way or another.
Yes, a lot of amazing volunteers. We're gonna give them a shout out.
It's a great community event.
And Danielle.
Photobomb.
And
Hello.
Tessa.
And Tessa, our marsh dog. And Kelly as well. All of NCF is here. It's great.
Well, thank you for showing us around.
Yeah.
We're really excited about the next stages for this Oyster Reef, and we're hoping that the cold, chilly work today pays off dividends.
It's totally worth it.
Yes. All right. Thanks, Jen.
Thanks, Neil.